Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. We're back doing the 6-String Dreamers series. We haven't done this in quite a while, and it got called off during COVID, and we're glad to be back in the studio doing another one of these sessions. And the first session we've done as we come back today is with my friend Croft Wilson. So we're going to play a couple of tunes for y'all today, and we're going to talk about the guitars that we're playing, and of course we're going to talk to Croft as well. So stick with us and let's get started here.
Good.
That'll work. So welcome to the studio, Croft.
Thank you.
And let's start off. Everybody's going to want to know this right from the beginning. How old are you?
13.
13. Okay. How long have you been playing guitar?
Well, I've been playing officially for about 6 years.
Okay. So did you start with the guitar or did you start with other instruments?
Well, my first ever instrument, I remember my mom bought it for me at a Goodwill in North Carolina up here. It was this baby little bass about this tall. Okay. And I would just sit there and pluck on it in the back of the car and all sorts of stuff at my nanny's. And then after that, the guitar was my origin instrument. I knew that because as I was a baby, a guitar hung over my changing table. And I would just sit there and strum the guitar strings, and I think that's where I got this guitar feel, and that's where it first started.
That's where it started for you.
But I officially played about 6 years ago.
Okay. So you were about 7 years old when you started.
7 or 8.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be a common theme. I started when I was 7. We had Presley Barker here. You know Presley. Mm-hmm. He was in here a while back and did one of these with us, and he was 7 when he started. And seems to be a pretty common number there, I guess. So, well, that's awesome. So you didn't stand a chance. You had one over your changing table.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's all right. Where do you live?
Well, I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. And it ain't no North Carolina. Bluegrass is very faint there.
Yeah.
There's a lot more new rock and new country and stuff.
Yeah, Jacksonville is the southern rock capital, I guess, of the South there, with Skinner and Molly Hatchet and Blackfoot and all these other bands that are way before his time. I guess I'm showing my own age here, but anyway. So this is Dream Guitars. Of course, we like to talk about our guitars here a lot and everything. So you want to tell us a little bit about the guitar that you're playing?
Well, I'm actually playing something that my grandpa built me. My grandpa was Croft Wilson. And he built me this guitar when he realized that I could play. Like, I had a recording king before, and so I got to get good at playing it. And so he made me this, and of course, it's a mahogany D18. I call it the D Mini. It's a 9/10 scale of a D18. And of course, it got an inlay with number 100. It's its 100th guitar built. It's got a beautiful mahogany back and sides with herringbone trim. And it's just a great guitar. It sounds, being its small size, it sounds just like an OM. It's bright and loud.
Yeah, it is.
And it's a beautiful
And it's
guitar.
been well played, it looks like. How long have you had that guitar and been playing it now?
Well, I got it when I was about 8, so about a year after learning. So I've only had it for about 4.5 years, 5 years.
Okay.
And it's been the heck and back, for sure.
There you go. Well, that's what they're made for, is to be played. So I'm going to tell you real quick about the guitar that I'm playing. This guitar is also a D.O. Wilson, Don Wilson. A lot of you folks out in Guitar Land are familiar with the names, and some of you, if you're not. Don was from Jacksonville, Florida area, but he's also worked quite a bit with Wayne Henderson, which I'm sure a lot of the folks that follow the Dream Guitars channel is familiar with Wayne's work. And Don's done a ton of work in Wayne's shop. He's built jigs for Wayne and helped through the. Chances are, if you have a Wayne Henderson guitar in the last, I'm going to say 10 to 12 years, Don's did a lot of the work on that guitar at some point during its process, for most of them. The one that I own, I have a Henderson as well. But I just got this one myself last year. This is a Wilson. Mine is a standard D18. It's full dreadnought size. There's no herringbone trim, but it's mahogany back and sides. It is well loved. I haven't had it but a year, and it spent most of its life so far under a bed, so it has yet to be well played. We're working on that. But and of course, a lot of you folks know Don left us last year. So, and this is his grandson, and I'm tickled to have Croft in here, and I know Don would be too. So, I got to ask you a couple of questions now about your own playing. So, who do you listen to for inspiration? Who do you like to listen to?
My big inspiration was Presley Barker. Like, hearing his music, like Just 10 and all those, really inspired me that a young kid could be a really good player.
Yeah.
And so that really pushed me forward. But Doc Watson was also one I'd put in my headphones, listen to Doc Watson.
Yeah, Doc's my man. I love Doc. That's cool. See, that to me speaks volumes that Presley's, as young as Presley is, he's what? He just turned 18. Last week was his birthday, in fact. He just turned 18 years old. And you're talking about the CD, Just 10, that he recorded when he was 10 years old. And he's already inspiring other musicians. And I'll tell y'all something else, too, for what it's worth. These young players like Croft and Presley, they also inspire some of us old guys a little bit, too. Makes us have to try harder and keeps us on our toes a little bit, man. So that's really awesome. And Doc, I love Doc's. I've been a Doc fan myself since before I was your age. In fact, I was probably about 11 when I started listening to Doc. So like you, I was young, and I love Doc. Anybody else?
If there would be anybody else, it would have to be probably for singing wise, where I got my singing inspiration would probably be the Earl Scruggs and Lester Flatt. That old music, when you can turn that old recorded, like it, you know it's good music, but when you can record it and make it sound so much better, it's really cool to like restore that vintage song.
Yeah.
It's really
So
cool.
I'm going to ask you this. I grew up in Jacksonville too, so I also know it is not a hotbed for bluegrass. So who introduced you to all this music that you're talking about here?
Grandpa.
Yeah.
Pawpaw.
Yeah.
What he would do is every time I'd come over, he'd say, "Hey, let's go get a sub at Firehouse Subs." He probably ate Firehouse Subs 3 times a week. And so we would go, and all he'd had was a Sirius XM radio. And he'd just play bluegrass all the way there and all the way back. And that's where I got it from. And I was like, "Daddy, you got to get this Sirius XM thing. We got to listen to bluegrass." And he was like, "Okay." Like, it's just sparked from then. Became a real fire in my life to listen to bluegrass.
So you're 13 years old. What grade are you in now at school?
I'm going into 8th grade this year.
So when you get out of school, do you have any? And you're still young, so you got plenty of time to figure this out. So this might be a silly question, but where do you see yourself in a number of years, say after you're out of school, playing music or doing something else? Or?
Probably building guitars. I love the art of guitars. It's like painting a picture. There's art to it. You can put so many details, I'll say, into a guitar. And so that's what I want to see myself doing in my older years, building guitars.
Older years. That's awesome. So less long term then, let's go with a shorter term. Do you have any kind of goals in music that you've set for yourself now?
Yeah, my standard goal is to just get better. Practice and get better every day.
How much do you practice?
Well, depending on what the weather is. I'm just messing with you. No weather issues. I'll just about 30 minutes to about an hour a day, every day.
So that's do you ever find, is there any times where you just don't feel like playing but you do it anyway?
Definitely before Wayne's Fest, being first alternate, I was like, I hadn't played all year. Not hadn't played, I'd been playing my electric all year.
Yeah.
And so I just completely had like half lost my feel for bluegrass, and I didn't want to. I was like, I want to jump on that amp and kick on the distortion. But then I was like, no, this is Wayne's Fest, so that's about the only time that I've not wanted to pick up my guitar and do it. And then ever since then, I haven't touched my electric but once.
For those of y'all who are not familiar with what he's saying here when he says Wayne's Fest, he's talking about the Wayne Henderson Festival, which was, 3 weeks ago, I guess now?
3.5 weeks.
3-4 weeks ago it was. And, of course, they have the Wayne Henderson guitar competition there. They only take 20 entries, and it was full this year. And then they have 10 on a standby list, and Croft was number 1 on the standby list.
First alternate.
First alternate, they call it. And as it turns out, there was a couple people dropped out of the contest or weren't there for whatever reason. So he made it into the contest, and I did catch your performance in the contest. My friend Brandon Davis backed him up, who was an awesome guitarist himself, and did a great job. You did a great job in the contest. I felt like you really nailed it, and that's saying a lot because there was a lot of us other ones in the contest that day that did not. I will promise you that. And a shout out while I'm here too to Ben Cockman, who won that day, and Ben's awesome and was very deserving, I felt, to win that day. But getting back to that, he's talking about the Wayne Henderson Festival. There is a video of that performance out there. Have you seen it?
Of who?
Of you.
I haven't seen no video.
Yeah, there's a lady that comes to these things sometimes, and she's got a really nice camera. She sets up, she records. I'm going to give her a shout out if I can. There, is that okay? Yeah, I just had to make sure their engineer here. Her name is Carol McDuffie. Her bluegrass channel, I think, is called Lovin' Bluegrass or something like that. But basically, if you Google on YouTube, if you search YouTube for the Wayne Henderson Festival, the videos will pop up, and you can see his performance that day, which I watched recently, was really good. And mine's on there as well, which is not so good. I was not having a good day that day, but that's neither here nor there. You did really well that day, and I remember you came over and spoke to me afterwards and asked you how you felt about it, and you said you felt like you played well, but there's something else you said that afterwards that my wife was standing there. It said, "What do you think?" And your comments were, "Well, I felt like I played good," and I always concerned about younger players getting discouraged real easily, especially in a contest situation where they don't win. But your comments was like, it just makes me want to try harder and come back until I win a Henderson guitar. And that's what you said that day. And you walked off, and my wife just sit there, and she said, "That's incredible. That's just great." And I got to agree. That's a great mindset to have towards, if you're going to do contests, that's a great mindset to have. Moving forward, if you do any more. Do you see yourself doing many more contests?
I do. I want to try to compete. I'm not going to win Winfield, but maybe I could have a shot at maybe top 5 or something in Winfield. I want to compete in that festival this year. But I can definitely see myself trying to compete in more competitions, and not just to be like, hey, I'm not going to be like, I can beat people. I want to be like, this is truly pushing me harder to try to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see it like a trophy. I see it like an experience.
That's great. I mean, man, I wish I'd had that mindset when I started doing contests 30 years ago. But I wanted to beat everybody. Oh, well. You outgrow that. So that's great. You've got that behind you already. You don't even have that to overcome. That's great. Well, is there anything that you would want to say to any younger players like yourself out there? Maybe some of them are struggling, or anything that you would want to say to any of them?
Well, the one thing that I would say to anybody that's just beginning, or maybe a very experienced player, but a lot of people don't, I feel like they don't take it very seriously, how much time and effort you have to put into the music. Like, you can't just say you got really good, and then you're like, oh, I'm good enough, I don't need to practice anymore, and just laid your guitar down. The next time you picked it up, you'd probably be awful. Because practice makes perfect. That is a true saying in guitar. So for anybody out there that's like, I just want to do a little bit, push yourself harder. Like, that's what I learned. You can't stop. You just got to push harder and harder and harder. And that's how you get it. That's, in my opinion, any great advice for anybody.
I don't think it's bad advice. Well, there you go, folks. So thank y'all for watching this episode. I've had a ball here with Croft today, and I hope y'all enjoyed this show too. Thanks for coming in, Croft.
Welcome, man. I enjoyed it.
We'll see y'all next time.